because of the idolatry of your own life. Maybe your fatherlessness or motherlessness has placed your own kids in the fire. Verse 10 introduces us to God in Manasseh's life. The Lord spoke to Manasseh and his people, but they paid no attention. You're here in church and you've been here every week, and perhaps you even come in the middle of the week and you hear God speak, but you already know what you're going to do when you leave here. And God coming out of heaven is not going to change your calendar. I got to be me. Therefore. Got to watch out for therefore. Because if God can't get your attention with his word, he will get it with his wrath. The Lord brought the commanders of the army of Assyria against them. They captured Manasseh with hooks, bound him with bronze chains, and took him to Babylon. God sent travail. They put hooks in his nose like a wild bull and took him to Babylon. That is, God sent the enemy in order to bring discipline and judgment upon this rebellious son. Now, I don't think God did enough. Why didn't God just take this boy up out of here? When you read through the Old Testament, you will regularly see God saying, he did this in somebody's life for the sake of their father. You will regularly see that in the Old Testament, that God will adjust what he does over here because of what daddy did over here. See, that's why you want to be a godly daddy. So that if your kids do act a fool, God can remember you. So when your kids go crazy and they deserve the wrath of God, your name pops up in God's head and God holds back. Some of us, if our name popped up in God's head, he'd do it to him twice. You see, this was Hezekiah's boy. And for the sake of Hezekiah, some of you have mamas that prayed. Some of you have mamas still praying. And for the sake of grandmama, you're still alive. For the sake of grandmama's memory, you are still here. For the sake of your mother or those who have gone before you. So the wrath of God was sure designed to do one thing, to break the boy down. Whenever you are in rebellion and you go as low as you can go, God will meet you there to break you down. And God will do whatever it takes for you to cry uncle. It's like a weightlifter trying to lift weights, and the weights are too heavy, and you can't even get them up, and then somebody comes over and leans on them. That's what God does. He leans on you. It's called being broken. This past Wednesday night Bible study, I told the church about Silver. You all know Silver, Lone Ranger's horse. You remember? Hi, old Silver. Away. Most of us know about the Lone Ranger. Most of us know about Tonto. Not a lot of us know about Silver. See, to know about Silver, you would have had to see the first installment of the Lone Ranger. You had to see the first show. If you missed the first show, you don't know how the Lone Ranger got to be lone. You just thought, is this dude with a mask on? No, when it first came, he didn't have a mask on, and he wasn't the Lone Ranger. He was part of a group of Rangers. And the group of Rangers got ambushed in a canyon in the Old West. All of the other Rangers were slain, and he was left for dead, but he wasn't dead yet. And he was revived by an Indian who discovered him in the canyon named Tonto. And when Tonto discovered the man who would become known as the Lone Ranger and nursed him back to health, in the canyon, they heard the voice of a horse. And they went over and they saw this white stallion untamed. And the Lone Ranger began to ride the stallion, and the stallion would buck it off, ride the stallion, and the stallion would buck it off. And he continued to ride the stallion until he got broke, until he came under the control of the Lone Ranger. So when you see at the end of the Lone Ranger movies or television shows a Hi-Yo Silver, and you see him go up on two legs and obey the Lone Ranger, it wasn't always that way. He had to be humbled. He had to be brought under the control of his master. God knows how to make you hear Hi-Yo Silver. And any good cowboy will tell you, you ride a horse until it breaks. So what God does is he allows the weight of life to weigh us down in terms of his retribution against sin.